They call Harvard the crown of human education. The oldest, the greatest, the most prestigious institution the world has ever produced. Presidents have walked its halls. Nobel Prize winners have sharpened their minds inside its lecture rooms. The entire Western world points to Harvard as evidence that civilization reached its highest intellectual peak somewhere along the Charles River in Cambridge, Massachusetts. But here is what they never told you in school. Here is the fact that got buried under centuries of miseducation, colonial revision, and deliberate erasure. In the year 1400 AD, while Harvard had not yet placed a single stone upon another stone, while it existed as nothing more than an idea not yet conceived, a university in the heart of West Africa was already home to 25,000 students. 25,000 minds. 25,000 scholars studying law, astronomy, surgery, mathematics, rhetoric, and theology. In a city the world would eventually dismiss as remote and irrelevant. In a place called Timbuktu. And if that truth rattles something deep inside you, good. Because it was designed to be forgotten. And we are here today to make sure it never is again. To understand what Sankore University truly was, you have to understand the world it was born into. The city of Timbuktu sits at the edge of the Sahara Desert in what is today the modern nation of Mali. But in the 9th, 10th, and 11th centuries, this was not the edge of anything. This was the center. Timbuktu was positioned at one of the most strategically critical geographic intersections on the entire African continent, sitting at the point where the Niger River bends northward toward the Sahara, creating a natural crossroads between the salt mines of the north and the gold fields of the south. Caravans carrying gold, ivory, kola nuts, and enslaved people moved through Timbuktu in both directions. Merchants arrived from North Africa, from the Arabian Peninsula, from Persia, from Egypt, carrying cloth, copper, books, and ideas. This was not a remote outpost. This was a cosmopolitan nerve center of the medieval world. The Sankore Mosque and its attached madrasa, what historians now recognize as the University of Sankore, was established formally around 989 AD. Let that date sit for a moment. 989. The University of Bologna in Italy, widely credited as the oldest university in Europe, was not founded until 1088 AD. Oxford University did not begin operating until around 1096 to 1167 AD. And Harvard was chartered in 1636 AD. Sankore predates Harvard by more than 6 centuries. 600 years of continuous intellectual tradition that the Western educational canon never once saw fit to mention in a standard curriculum. The mosque itself was constructed under the patronage of a wealthy Timbuktu woman, a Monde woman whose name has not survived the centuries but whose vision most certainly has. She hired an architect from Andalusia, the great Islamic civilization of southern Spain, and the structure she built became the physical heart of one of the most extraordinary centers of learning the pre-modern world had ever seen. The story of Sankore cannot be told without telling the story of Mansa Musa I, the 14th century emperor of the Mali Empire who turned Timbuktu into the intellectual capital of the known world. Mansa Musa ruled from approximately 1312 to 1337 AD, and his name has survived into the modern era primarily because of one extraordinary event. In 1324 AD, he embarked on a pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj, and he did not travel modestly. He traveled with a royal entourage estimated at 60,000 people. He brought with him 12,000 enslaved servants, each reportedly carrying 4 pounds of gold. He brought 80 camels, each carrying between 300 and 500 pounds of gold dust. The total amount of gold Mansa Musa carried out of West Africa on that single journey has been estimated by modern economists at roughly $400 billion in today's value. $400 billion. He gave so much gold away in Cairo and across Egypt that he single-handedly triggered an inflationary crisis in the Mediterranean gold market that took 12 years to stabilize. 12 years. One man. One trip. This was the empire that built and sustained Sankore University. But the intellectual architecture of Sankore belongs not only to Mansa Musa. It belongs to Ahmed Baba Timbuktu, Born in 1556 AD, a scholar so prolific and so respected that even his enemies could not diminish his legacy. Ahmed Baba was the greatest intellectual Timbuktu ever produced. He wrote more than 40 major academic works. He was a jurist, a grammarian, a biographer, and a theologian of the highest order. When the Moroccan Sogdian army invaded Timbuktu in 1591 and captured the city, Ahmed Baba was arrested not because he had raised a sword but because he had raised a pen. The new occupiers understood precisely where his power resided. He was forcibly taken to Marrakesh, where even in captivity, scholars and students gathered around him to learn. The Sultan of Morocco eventually allowed him to teach there, recognizing that holding Ahmed Baba and refusing the world access to his mind was its own kind of absurdity. He eventually returned to Timbuktu, where he died in 1627 AD. His personal library contained over 1,600 manuscripts. His personal library. That is not counting the hundreds of thousands of manuscripts